We'll start the class with 3 Oms. Sahana Bhavato Sahanao Bhunakto Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvina Baditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we are seeing this wonderful text called as Atmabodha with 68 verses. We are in the 4th section, verse 31 to 41. And we are trying to see what Atma means in particular. In Atmabodha, it was a broad text which we did. And Atma was one of the portions discussed in Atmabodha, along with the gross body, subtle body, causal body, gross world, subtle world, and causal world. And then we said in Atmabodha, in Tattvabodha, that there is something common between me and the world. Jivatma, Paramatma. Paramatma means the entire universe. What is common between the two is Atma. And this text deals primarily with the Atma, which is the common substratum between the Jivatma and Paramatma. So we should never forget what this whole text is talking about. Once we understand that we are talking about the common substratum between the two, that is between me, the Jiva, the soul, living in this body, and the world, which represents the entire universe, consists of all the individuals in the universe. There is one common aspect which is called as pure consciousness or awareness. We are not aware, we do not know this consciousness as a separate entity. We always think that I am a conscious being, that's all. And then I'm experiencing this world. That's all we normally know, but only when we come to the study of the spiritual science, then we try to understand our real nature and the nature of this entire universe. So if this point is understood, then we have to go one step further and then separate ourselves from Atma. From the Atma, we have to remove the Anatma portion and drop it in as a part of the universe. Which means I learn to drop this body, mind, sense organs as a part of the universe and stand separately as pure awareness principle. This entire 68 verses are teaching us how to look at myself as pure awareness. And we are going to study today the crux, the central portion of this 68 verses, which is verse number 34, 35, and 36. Out of 68 verses, these 3 verses are the most important in the entire text. And we will see what these verses mean. And once we understand that this entire universe is nothing else but Atma, then what is the basic advantage? I will not be thinking that the body is me, the mind is me. Hence, all the sorrows which belong to the mind, I do not entertain it as myself. I am sorrowful. There are 22 indicators about Atma in these verses. Verse number 34 has got 9 of them. Verse number 35 has got 7. And verse 36 has got 6. So 9 plus 7 plus 6, 22 indicators. For those who have attended the last Wednesday class on Brahma Jnana Valli, these 22 indicators are exactly very, very similar to the ones which we discussed there. Very similar. They both are talking about the same. Here we are only using Atma, the name Atma. There we are using the name Brahman. But the substance is exactly the same. Brahman means totality. Atma means the individual. There is oneness between the individual and the total. So let us look at these verses and then see how we can differentiate the body, mind from the consciousness. Let me see if I can play this. No, I think this is okay. We can just see. Nirguno nishkriyo nityo nirvikalpaha niranjanaha. These are all Sanskrit names describing Atma. Nirvikaro nirakaro nityamukto asmi nirmalaha. So all these words, there are separate words. Each word is only talking about the pure consciousness self. Whenever we say the self, it is the inner content of our existence. I exist, I am conscious, and I am aware of myself and the world. Nirgunaha means, the first one is gunaha. Gunaha means properties or attributes. So we will start looking at the body and then we'll compare it with the pure consciousness. The body and the mind, they are subject to 3 gunas of the Prakriti. Prakriti means nature. The 3 gunas means that there are 3 attributes in nature. One attribute is called as sattva, which means knowledge. Second attribute means rajas, which means action. And the third attribute of this nature of 5 elements is inertia. Because of the third element only, we go to sleep every day. I feel tired and I go to sleep. Because of the second rajas, we all act. We walk, we run, we eat, all the actions are all the rajas aspect of the Maya principle or the nature. And then the organs of knowledge, they are all giving us the knowledge of the world. And that is responsible because of the sattva guna of the 5 elements. So the body and mind are made up of 5 elements, and their cause is the Maya principle, which is also called as 3 gunas. Whereas Atma is the spiritual principle. It is different than the gunas. That is why the first quality is nirgunaha. Nirgunaha means it is free from the Maya principle, which is called as 3 gunas. The three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, these three gunas together is called as Maya. And Maya is what? Is nothing else but our mind. Our subtle mind is also called as Maya principle. One nature of the mind is continuous production of thoughts. Because of the thoughts, we enter into an activity which is called as kriyaha. The second aspect of Atma is it is nishkriyaha. That means it is free from all activities belonging to the organs of action and the subtle body's action, which is called as thinking, production of thoughts. Atma is the seer or the sakshi principle. It is the one which is observing the thoughts. The awareness principle is not with action. There is no action in the seer. In the experiencer, there is no action. So the pure consciousness does not do any action. In the Bhagavad Gita also we have that all the activities of the hands, legs keeps on going, but I, the Atma, am always nishkriyaha. The verse Pashyan Shrinvan, for those who have done the Bhagavad Gita, they will remember that. Then the third factor is nityaha. Nityaha is the time principle. It refers to the time principle which is responsible for all the changes which we see in the universe. The morning comes, the afternoon comes, the evening comes, again the next day morning comes, afternoon, evening, days goes, months goes, and then complete year goes away, a decade goes, 50 years go away, 80 years go away. It's just a continuous change. But in this continuous change, there is the seer who has not changed. And that is what is called as nityaha. Nityaha means the changeless consciousness, awareness principle, which has not changed ever. So that is the beauty of this text, which says Atma is one principle which is absolutely changeless. Right from the time I was born till date, this is the only changeless factor in me. And the Vedas say that this will not only remain for this birth, it will also continue in the next birth. Even in the next birth, I will be born in consciousness, and again my body will go away in consciousness, but consciousness will not change. So the changeless factor in this entire universe is indicated by the term Nityaha. This is the only thing, and is a very, very important word to be used in our meditation. So in the seat of meditation, we can rotate each of these words in our own mind. Just remember the simple words. I am not affected by time. I am an eternal being, divine being. Whatever is not affected by time principle is called as divine. The fourth indicator is nirvikalpaha. Nirvikalpaha means divisionless. There is division in the bodies between the three bodies which we have, but between my body and your body, there is one common aspect that is called as Atma. Even in this body itself, my fingers are different, my legs are different, they are all different parts of the body. They have divisions. But Atma, the seer principle, the consciousness principle, is not having any division, exactly like space or light. Light doesn't have any division. Similarly, space also doesn't have any division. Similarly, our Atma principle doesn't have any division in itself. This is the fourth one. Whenever we talk about this, we always look at it from the Anatma point of view. We always have to compare that the thoughts are changing, but the seer of the thoughts is not changing. The three bodies belonging to Anatma are with divisions, but Atma has no divisions. The body is doing actions, but Atma does no actions. The body has got, the mind has got the three gunas, but Atma doesn't have three gunas. This is how we have to do the discrimination, which is called as Viveka. Viveka, as you know, is one of the four basic qualities of a student, which we studied in Atmabodha. Viveka, Vairagya, Shamada, Shatka, Sampattihi, and Mumukshutva. These are the four qualities which we studied, and this meditation on these aspects of Atma is called as the Viveka Shakti. That means the discriminative ability of the mind will grow as we first of all hear these words. Then when our mind learns to rotate this in meditation, this becomes a conviction. Then the fifth quality we are talking about is Niranjanaha. Niranjanaha means that it is free from the blemish of ignorance. Anjana means ignorance, the Maya principle. There are two aspects of Maya principle. One is the projecting principle. That means the two principles of our mind. One is it keeps on producing thoughts, which is called as the projection. The second is it covers the Atma, that is the ignorance. I don't know myself as pure awareness. So that covering portion is what is being discussed here as Niranjana. That means there is no, it's free from the blemish, it's free from the impurity of ignorance. As Atma, I am ever pure. The next quality is Nirmalaha. Free from ignorance means I also do not have any doership and enjoyership or the knowership. The knowership belongs to the ego I, which is called as the ahamkara. That means when I, the consciousness, operate through the sense organs, the mind and the sense organs, they see the world, they enjoy the world, and they act in the world. So that portion of mind, which is the mind, sense organs, and the sense object, is called as the ahamkara portion. Whereas Atma is behind the mind. So Nirmalaha means it's free from the ignorance which is generated by the doership. That means I have a delusion that I am the doer. I have a delusion that I am enjoying this world. I have a delusion that I know this world. These are all what is called as pramatritvam, means I am, pramata means I am a knower principle, but that is a delusion which is caused by the mind. What I am is free from this delusion, which is called as Atma. Hence it is called as Nirmalaha. Malam means pure impurity. And here the main impurity is ignorance. Nirvikaraha, we have seen this in Atmabodha again. Atma is free from 6 modifications. And what are the modifications? The first one is existence, potential existence. Atma has got original existence, that is always there. Whereas when that Atma is reflected in the body, especially in the mind, it gets what is called as potential existence in the womb of the mother. So as till that baby is in the womb, we call it as potential existence. Then the second one modification is the baby is born, then it grows, then there is a stage when it remains constant. That is what we call as middle age. Then we have disease and death. So these are only modifications of the gross body. We should remember that there is no modification for Atma. Atma is nirvikaraha. Vikara means modification. So as long as I identify myself as Atma, I have no fear of death. Because death is only for something which is born. As Atma, I am never born. That's what the scriptures say. And I believe in the scriptures, therefore, I accept it as a truth. The 8th quality is nirakaraha. Nirakara means formless. Akara means form. Nirakara means formless. So this awareness principle is formless, exactly like space. And that is why they say that try to meditate on space so that you can reach Atma and understand that same aspect of space is the Atma, formless. Nitya muktaha. Muktaha means I am free. Nitya means I am ever free. Ever free means I am liberated. I am not part of the mind or this body. This body and mind principle are together going through certain actions which belongs to the karma, prarabdha karma. The prarabdha karma decides what the body will face during the whole life. But I am free from the body as Atma, hence I am called as Nitya Muktaha. By bringing all these factors in meditation and staying in each word, and we see each word as a fact for me. That is called as the Nididhyasana or meditation process. The 3 aspects which I always say is, first we have to learn about this Atma, then we have to contemplate what this Atma means, and then sit down for 5 to 10 minutes and then say, I am that Atma. This is the way in which we learn about our core nature. We go to the next verse. In this verse, we are talking about another 7 indicators. Like the space, I fill all things within and without. Space is inside a pot and space is outside a pot. Space is inside a hall, space is outside the hall. So when you break down the walls, what happens to the space is it's one space which you take it as the total space. And in this, once we, similarly, Atma is also in this body, it is there in other person's body, it is there in all the bodies. So we learn to see one pure consciousness principle in all the bodies, and that is what is me. It is changeless and the same in all at all times. I am pure, unattached. Sarvagataha means like space, all pervading. The reflected consciousness and the causal body, that means the Karana Shariram, is limited, but it is not Atma. That means the mind is limited to the body. Your mind is there in your body, my mind is there in my body, but beyond this mind and body, there is something called as Atma, which is Sarvagataha, which is all pervading, one principle like space. Achyuta means never fallen. It is never subjected to arrival and departure. Body and mind are seen in the waking state, but not in the dream state, or not seen in the sleep state. They are subject to arrival and departure. Whereas Atma, the experiencing principle, the illuminating principle, the consciousness principle is one, it never arrives or departs. Sada Sarva Samaha. Sada Sarva Samaha means it is got no gradation. Your Atma and my Atma, there is no bigger Atma, smaller Atma, brighter Atma, lesser Atma. The Atma is only one, exactly like space, exactly like light, one principle which is uniform. Gradation belongs to the three bodies. That means your sukham and dukkham, sorrow and joy, is different than my happiness and sorrow. Happiness and sorrow belongs to the mind. It does not belong to the Atma. The knowledge which you have of physics or medicine is different than my knowledge of either a law or a business or IT, whatever you may call it. The knowledge is different. It belongs to the intellect. But the consciousness which illumines these intellect or the emotions in your mind is the same. There is no gradation in Atma. Sada Sarva Samaha. Siddha. Siddha in Sanskrit has three meanings. In yoga, we call a person Siddha when he has got some miraculous powers and he can do wonders. He can pull a truck. He can become like he can reduce himself. These are all different siddhis, the powers which one can gain by doing certain rituals, by certain methods. They can control the mind and the power which it exhibits. Jnani is also called as Siddha because he is a wise man and he is liberated. He is not attached to the mind or body as himself. He is also called as a Siddha. Siddha means a person who has attained whatever has to be attained. Here Siddha means Atma. Objects in creation are evident only when you perceive them through the five sense organs. I close my eyes, all the forms and colors which I see in front of me is gone. Suppose I shut my ears, my entire sound, whatever I experience, that all the objects of sound are gone. Similarly, taste, similarly, smell, similarly, touch. It is one mind behind these five sense organs which is witnessing, or which is the seer. One principle, the mind. This is what we will study in Drigdrishya Viveka when we do the text next. So Atma is ever available fact without the body and mind, as we have experience in sleep. It's ever available. It's available when the body is there, when the body is experienced, when the mind is there. In dream, the mind is there, but Atma is the one which is illumining the mind. We never doubt our existence We can doubt about everything else in the world. Is there a man on moon? Is there any humanity in Mars? All this we can doubt, but we can never doubt whether I am alive, whether I am existing. Nobody can doubt that. We all know that we exist. Any reflection requires the original consciousness. Any reflection. Location belongs to the Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa means the reflected consciousness. We say that the consciousness is one, but it gets reflected in the mind, it gets reflected in the gross body, it gets reflected in the outside world. We can never experience the consciousness all alone. Any experience, whenever we use the word experience in English, anubhava, in Sanskrit, it means the mind is involved. The mind is woken up by Atma, and then we see the entire world. So even in samadhi or in sleep, we are only identifying with the reflected consciousness in the causal body. So in sleep, we all have a shariram, which is invisible. Sharira means we have a causal body which is not seen. Atma is reflected in that body, and then we say the person is sleeping. And we also say, I slept yesterday very well. Who was sleeping was the mind who had gone to sleep. But we say, I slept. I slept means it is the mind which has gone to sleep. I wrongly say I went to sleep. I, the consciousness, have never slept. Atma is the substratum, and that substratum is called as Siddha. Nissangaha means connection. Sangha means connection. Nissangaha means it is not connected with anything. Basic connection is with the body or mind. Through the body only we get connections to the entire family and to the universe. Consciousness accommodates everything, but it is not affected by the properties of the objects it accommodates. That means the body has got properties, but the Atma does not connect with the body or the properties. The body is young, the body is old, the mind is bright, the mind is dull. These are all the properties, but the Atma is Nissangaha. It's the same thing as saying in Brahmananda Valli, Asangaha. Same, exactly the same principle. I am wife refers to the reflected consciousness in the mind, which has connections and relationships. When I say I'm wealthy man, means I'm not talking of Atma. I'm talking of the reflected consciousness, which is the Jiva principle. The consciousness exists as Atma all the time without any connection. But that connection, that Atma, when it gets reflected in this body, that reflection gets identified, it joins the mind, and then I say, I am a wife, I am a husband, I am a son, I am a brother, and so on. Nirmalaha, we have seen this. Atma is like free from good and bad relationships. Here we are talking about the qualities of the mind, which are disturbances in the mind. The main disturbances of the mind are worry, anxiety, attachment, fear, anger, jealousy, greed. All these words which I'm using are all nothing but thoughts and thoughts and thoughts and thoughts. They are different types of thoughts. They are different forms and shapes of thoughts. Anger is also a thought. Greed is also a thought. Desire is also a thought. Worry is a thought. They are all vritti. Vritti means it is a thought. And they all have different shapes, and the different shapes are called as anger vritti, worry vritti, desire vritti. You know, they are all Ultimately, when you look at it from Atma angle, they are just thoughts coming in, going, coming and going. The mind has a tendency to produce thoughts throughout the day. That is the job of the mind. Throughout the day, whether we like it or not, the mind will keep on producing. It will keep on looking at the world, looking at some aspect of your life. And each one of us has got 6 or 7 or 10, maximum 10, I would say, connections with the world, which are primary connections. We keep on worrying about those aspects only. You can once you start doing this meditation regularly, you will easily realize I have about 10 weak areas in my mind, and the mind keeps on going to those areas again and again, and it keeps on. It's an attachment of the mind to those sense objects. That's all. Moksha is freedom in discovering this relationship, free Atma. So that is why I keep stressing, and that's why I brought in the topic of meditation, is to realize this Atma is me. The study of Atmabodha is complete when you do this with meditation. Because we can learn a lot about Atma, but we have to see it in our own individual mind. And we have to separate that Atma from our mind. That is why meditation is important. We want freedom in relationship. That means I don't want to be binding. I don't want anybody, any relationship to be binding. Binding means that I'm attached to it. I can't leave it. I'm so attached to it. That is called as a binding relationship. All of us are seeking something which is, we want freedom from relationships. That is why moksha becomes very important. Achalaha means it is not shaken up by this shaken up psychologically through different emotions in the mind. As I discover this freedom from the mind, I will also discover the freedom from the emotions in the mind. It is the emotions in the mind which cause a lot of problems for all of us, be it connection with an object, person, or a situation. So whenever we do not know Atma, we keep on saying, oh, this happened, that happened, this happened, so what? Then once we know about Atma, that what becomes so what internally. So this is what is called as the growth in spirituality. Gita has got a lovely verse. It's got in chapter 6. Chapter 6 of the Gita is purely on meditation. Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tataha. Yasman stito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. That means after having obtained the knowledge of Atma, there is nothing superior to it. And established in this Atma, I can remove all my sorrow. It's a very important verse in the Bhagavad Gita, which tells us that knowledge of Atma is very important if we want to get rid of our sorrows. Emotions are good and bad. The bad emotions are the ones which enslave us. There are good emotions of compassion, love. These are also emotions. But we should try to get rid of some emotions in us which are tying us and disturbing us. What is the difference between a person who has the knowledge? How is his mind compared to our mind? Our mind are like rocks sometimes. We can hurt others and we are insensitive to others' feelings. This is one type. That is called as a gross mind. The second is like a flower. it doesn't hurt others. I don't hurt other people. There are some people who will say, I have never hurt anybody in my life. But the problem with that type of mind is they get hurt very badly. Others' actions disturbs them tremendously. So this is called as a subtle mind. I don't hurt others, but others hurt me and I get affected. And then I keep on thinking about it for days. Suppose I have a fight with my spouse, I can't get rid of those thoughts. I am so sensitive. I think on it for days and days and days. Something happens in the office, it's all the problem of a subtle mind. And what is the jnani's mind? A person who has the knowledge of Atma. It is neither gross, it is neither subtle. It is not hurt by the others, and it cannot hurt others. Because he is the seer of the emotions. He is not attached to the emotions. That is the jnani's mind. A person who knows the knowledge of this Atma is a wise man, is a wise person. He knows that these are modifications or thoughts in my mind. They will arrive and they will go away. Why do they arrive and why do they go away? It is the nature of the mind to go through these disturbances as per the prarabdha karma. My body suddenly has got some problems. My mind also has suddenly some problems. This is the law of nature. This is the law of this world. It comes and goes, arrives and goes. But being a witness to that, these arrivals and departures makes me a strong person. That's why the knowledge of Atma, discrimination of the Atma is extremely important. And as we learn in this study of Atmabodha and other texts, slowly our mind gradually learns this. It is not that overnight you'll learn and say, oh, I know my Atma very well. It's not like that. Like a flower which takes a few days to, a bird which takes to flower, it takes a few days. Similarly, it is a gradual opening of the Atma in us. As we learn, as we contemplate, as we meditate. The next verse, this is the last verse of the indicators. It talks about 6 qualities of Atma. And it says, I am that pure self, ever liberated, one indivisible, blissful, non-dual truth. The most important word here is non-dual truth. The rest of the words we have seen before. Nitya Shuddhaha means there is no merit or demerit, no punyam and papam in Atma. Punyam and papam belongs to the reflected consciousness only, which is in this body. So because of this punyam or merit and demerit, the body undergoes, like I said, sukham and dukkham, joy and sorrow. So the sanchita, agami and prarabdha karmas, which I discussed in Atmabodha, they are all from the standpoint view of the reflected consciousness, which is the jiva or the soul principle, but it is not for the Atma. Therefore, after learning about Atma, one can learn to say, I am Atma, I don't have any results of actions to perform or do, but the body is doing these actions. It will perform till the last action has to be performed as per the law of the universe. But I am Nitya Muktaha, means I am free here and now. Right now, that is why we say there is something called as Jivan Mukti. When I learn to claim I am free right now, that is called as Jivan Mukti. That means I drop my identification with this mind, and it's a willpower. It's our own willpower. We say that, okay, I was identified till yesterday, but I don't want to identify again. I know through this knowledge of Atma, I am pure awareness. So I will spend the rest of my life as pure awareness. That is what a jnani does. That is what a realized master does. There's nothing. See, realization of Atma or self is a very simple exercise, but it becomes very difficult for us because of the obstacle between Atma and the mind. It's that mind which causes us all the problems. The mind keeps on acting in different ways, and that identification of Atma with the mind needs to be broken. Akhanda means free from division. Khanda means division. Akhanda means there is no division in Atma. Ananda means it's purnaha, it's fulfilled, satisfied. There is no inadequacy in Atma. Inadequacy is felt by the mind. I am not rich. I am not bright. I can't understand. These are all inadequacies. These are all again thoughts only. See, the beauty of meditation is the moment you understand what a thought is and what is the seer of the thought, all these things become very clear and it is very easy to do in life. And ego is what? It is a falsified, it is an appearance. This I, which attaches to the thought in the mind is nothing else, but it is just a pure appearance in consciousness. And it keeps on coming and going. That's all. Freedom is realized as blissful Atma. That means I learn to drop the thoughts as me. Once I have learned to drop the thoughts as me, then what happens is I remain as ever blissful Atma. I was never, as Atma, I had never had anxiousness. As Atma, I never had worry or fear or any of the emotions. So I learn to drop these from me. So this word Advayam. Advayam means non-dual. Atma is something in which there is no second thing, no second object or person. It's only with the reflected consciousness, the mind becomes active and the mind then powers the sense organs and it sees the world. So it's a manifestation of that consciousness in the mind which gives us this entire experience of the world. In sleep, what happens is that same manifestation becomes unmanifestation. The power of the mind which was seeing the world during the daytime, it withdraws that power into itself, and then that mind rests with Atma. So actually speaking, there is only Atma in the entire universe. That is why it is called as Advaitam or Advayam. And there are no two consciousnesses. Your consciousness and my consciousness, like we just now discussed, is not different. There is only one consciousness. And that consciousness is appearing as this body and mind. It appears as your body and your mind and your world. And somebody else is sitting in London or in Brazil or in India. It appears as that body and mind. And that part of the world it sees. But what is the central spiritual light in all of the human beings is that one principle called as Atma. And that is one, it is Advaitam. It is, once you understand this word Advaitam, is very, very important principle and very useful principle to realize our real nature. This was Shankaracharya's most favorite word, Advaitam. He fought with so many debates. In debates, he has fought with many, many philosophers with just this principle of Advaitam. It comes in Mandukya Upanishad, verse number 7. It says, Advaitam Shantam Shivam Advaitam Chaturtham Manyante Sa Atma. So it is the scriptures, the Upanishad tells us that this Atma is only one, non-dual principle. The entire world is a reflection in the mind mirror. It's not counted as a second. Therefore, it is called as non-dual. But how does all this happen? Is it really true? If you ask this question, yes, it is true, exactly like the dream. We all experience dream, and it is the ignorance of the waker which is a covering, which is that power of Maya, which projects the entire dream. Similarly, in the waking, what happens is, it is the ignorance of Atma, the pure spiritual light, which is a covering of Maya, which is a covering, which is with reference to our mind. It covers the Atma, and it is the same light which projects this entire universe. So the universe comes and goes in waking, dream, it goes off in sleep, again it comes in the morning, again it goes away. And that is how the whole process of even waking is. Mandukya Upanishad very clearly says that the waking state and the dream state are the two dream states, nothing else. Hence it is called as Advayam Advaita. This principle of Advaitam is explained by Shankaracharya's Guru's Guru, the grand Guru of Shankaracharya, written a book called as Karikas. Karikas means explanation of 12 verses of the Upanishad. He has written 200 verses. In that, the main principle he is trying to explain to us is the world is nothing else but it is an appearance which comes and goes. What is remains all the time is that Atma. Then the last 22nd quality is from Taittiriya Upanishad, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Satchit Ananda, which we see in Atmabodha. It is nothing else but it has come from this particular Upanishad. This is the essence of that Satchit Ananda. This is where the source is. In Taittiriya Upanishad, it says, I am the knower. Om is the knower Brahman. One who knows this Brahman, he has attains the supreme. And what is this Brahman? It is nothing else but Satyam Jnanam Anantam. That is the description. It is the Swarupa Lakshanam. That means it tells me what is the nature, what is my own intrinsic nature. Satyam means pure existence. Pure existence means it is existence without the body, mind, and the universe. Jnanam means pure consciousness. Pure existence and pure consciousness are the same, because existence is consciousness, consciousness is existence. And then the third word, Anantam, means limitless. All these three words belong to the one substance, but it gets three different names. Like one person is a wife, she is a mother, she is a daughter, she is a sister. These four are called just names, but the person is the same. So similarly, Atma is one, but it gets three different names for understanding the whole universe. When we look at that Atma from the individual angle as a Sakshi principle, as the principle of consciousness of thoughts, it is called as Chaitanyam, or it is called as Jnanam. That is the second one. When we look at the world and we see the world, we say that same Atma Brahman principle is in the world as existence. What is the common element in everything which exists? The house exists, the car exists, the world exists, planets exist. Anything, the common factor is existence. And this existence does not belong to the world or to the body or to the objects. It is a separate, independent entity. That is what Taittiriya Upanishad says, and that is what is said in this. Atmabodha is nothing else but the descriptions which are there from Upanishads. We take them, and then what Shankaracharya has done is he has just made them like a garland and says this is Atmabodha, this is the knowledge of the Atma. So with that, we complete 3 verses, 34th verse, 35 verse, 36 verse. For those of you who are interested to go more deeper into the Atma principle, you can note these points, and whatever appeals to you, you need not take all of them and rotate it. Suppose you like, I am timeless, nityaha, then just use the word, one word. I am not affected by time. Suppose you say, I like the word sakshi. Then you can just use the word sakshi and just remember one word in your meditation. And just keep on meditating as sakshi. I am that pure witness principle. If you want to know how to differentiate between the thought and consciousness, then you should use the word nirvikaraha. Nirvikaraha means changeless. So in the seat of meditation, you should say, I am the changeless consciousness. What is changing is the thoughts. So each of these words helps you to differentiate a thought or emotion which is part of the mind from the illuminator, from the illuminating principle of the thought. So this is the most important exercise in order to know Atma and abide in Atma. Next we go to the 37th verse. We'll just close after this verse. The impression I am Brahman, thus created by constant practice, destroys ignorance and the agitations caused by it, just as medicine or rasayana destroys diseases. See, what does medicine do? It kills bacteria. It kills anything, any bodies external to the to our body. It destroys them. That's what is called as rasayana. And similarly, the thought of Brahman, I am Brahman, the pure awareness without the body, mind, and universe. This thought has to be deliberately brought about. You can bring it out during your day-to-day transactions also. At some time you can say, well, I'm the pure awareness principle, and just remind yourself. By doing this, what happens is you develop what is called as Atma Vasana. See, all of us have got the Vasana or the impressions that I am the body, I am the ego, I am the doer, I am the mind. So this Vasana of Atma fights with the Jiva Vasana. And then slowly as the fight goes on, the Jiva wins and says, I am Atma. As you study more and more, this Atma Vasana in us becomes more stronger, and we claim ourselves as Atma. Then we say, what do we say? World is just an appearance. It depends on me for existence. Me here stands for the Atma. I am ever free from the body and mind, and I am always this Atma. I was Atma before the birth of the body. I was pure awareness, consciousness principle. I am today the same Atma. It never changes. This is the only changeless factor. The sun comes in the morning, it goes in the evening. Changing. Rain comes, rain goes. The breeze comes, the breeze goes. Flowers come, the flowers go. The tree comes up, the tree goes. That's a part of nature. Similarly, the body comes, body goes. It's a part of nature. It's a part of Prakriti. It's a part of the 5 elements. But the illuminator, the experiencer of all this is always the same. And I am the changeless principle. What is the advantage of doing this study? Very important is I'm not impulsive anymore. In every action, I become deliberate. I become deliberative. That means before action, I think, is this the right thing to do? Is it the wrong thing to do? When emotions come, I become aware of my emotions. And then I learn, if necessary, to drop that emotion and move on, get into another emotion or get into another activity. So the impulsive nature which we all have, it's not that everybody has impulsive nature, but we learn by this study of that pure self, that pure nature of mind, we learn to be non-impulsive, and for every action we think, and this doesn't come automatically in one day or 1 week, but it takes gradually, it comes in time. By doing this type of meditation or by learning this process of Atmabodha, the knowledge goes more deeper into our subconscious mind. And that is what is responsible for transformation of the mind. The mind which was having all the impurities of raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, lobha, mada, all these impurities, delusions, I learned to drop, and then new vasanas are formed. The new vasanas are, I am always muktaha, I am free. I am free from all these attachments. I am free from all these delusions. So this is a new vasana, it's a new impression which we create in our own mind. I learned to drop the father I, the wife I, and then I continue to do the duty, but I don't attach myself to the role as me. So when Vedantic meditation is done twice a day or once a day, it's like medicine for the sorrow. The sorrow which all of us we face in life, they become almost insignificant as we learn more and more about this Atma. Not only learn more, but also learn to discriminate the Atma from the body and the mind, and learning to say, I am that pure consciousness, I can abide in myself throughout my life. Atma will never leave us till the body drops. Atma is always our nature. It is our intrinsic nature. So we'll continue this study from the next verse, which is verse number 38, in the next class. And slowly from here onwards, the Shankaracharya talks about how to realize this Atma in meditation. And then the process of meditation is explained. And then how to, so so far the teaching of Atmabodha is completed in 37th verse. The teaching, the main teaching is these 3 verses. It tells us how to differentiate Atma from the rest of the body or mind or the universe. So with this, we will go now to the next section of our discussion today, which is the meditation session.